Sign into YouTube. I don't know why I should do that. Yeah, okay. Like, I got an email that says I'm live. Alright. Anyhow. Hello. So, my name's Ben. I'm the developer for Debrid Media Manager in Zerg. And here I figured I'll make a video about advanced users, about Real-Debrid for advanced users. So I collected all these information from the past year, developing applications, different projects on around Real-Debrid's API. I think Real-Debrid is really the best Debrid service out there. Nothing really beats the download performance and the amount of cached torrents available. And yeah, I figured I'll I'll talk about a lot of these undocumented features, different quirks, all the ins and outs of the platform, and yeah, I guess I'll move on. And in this in this deck, I call one-click hosters file lockers. Just a note for everyone. So websites like Mega Upload, OneFish here, I also consider Real-Debrid as a file locker. And later on, you'll see why I'm thinking of it that way. So here we'll see a diagram about how I think Real-Debrid works. So in the middle, you'll see these file locker links. So OneFish here, the one that I was talking about earlier, Mega Upload, even YouTube links. It's not necessarily a file locker, but it's compatible with Real-Debrid. They support this, and even Real-Debrid links, right? Like in this format, when you unrestrict this, you convert this file locker link into a download link, and that's the main function of Real-Debrid. The extra function that makes it special is that it also supports downloading torrent files and magnet links. So yeah, it does the P2P downloading for you. So yeah, this is what we're taking advantage of. And yeah, this torrents page, if I click this link, it redirects me to oh shoot. Anyhow, it redirects me to this to my torrent library, right? So when people say torrent library, they're actually referring to this page, and everything that's added here is saved by Real-Debrid as long as you keep your premium subscription. And if you let your premium sub expire, then sometimes you lose torrents, sometimes you don't. It depends on how long I don't know, like what the policies are. They're not really transparent about this, but I guess like as long as you keep your subscription active, then they don't delete any data. So yeah, as I was saying earlier, the biggest, or not the biggest, but like the cool feature that Real-Debrid offers is this torrent downloading, and this is very useful if your country is penalizing BitTorrent piracy, right? So if they don't, then I guess like there are other cool features for Real-Debrid, but like if you do, then yeah, this is super useful. And yeah, you can essentially use Real-Debrid as a torrent client. You can specify files as well that you want to download in a torrent, just like any other torrent clients out there, like uTorrent, microtorrent, or transmission or views. Um, you can specify the file. So if, for example, the torrent contains 100 files, and you only want like a single file in there, you don't have to download the whole thing, right? Like it does support like Real-Debrid does support that. If the torrent contains non-video files and you select them for downloading, there's a catch here. It will be compressed by Real-Debrid. Yeah, so if it's compressed by Real-Debrid, then you have to you have to unrar or uncompress the file first before you can see the files that you selected, which is a bit of a hassle. I mean, uh, it's you only have to select video files, so that's what you have to remember. When you're downloading files, when you're downloading torrents and you don't want it to be compressed by Real-Debrid, you only have to select video files. So these are the supported video files. I mean, these are not documented, but at least based on my testing, these are what Real-Debrid considers a video. And if you only select these files, then it won't be compressed. If you only select a single file though, even if it's non-video, if it's not a video, like a text file or a photo, then it will not be archived, right? So that's also important to remember. And this is also a trick that I use in Zwerg on version 0.10, where I use this for RAR extraction. I only I do multiple downloads for every file that's inside this torrent, uh, where I only select a single file. And then about torrent caching, if you have a torrent that has been downloaded before, even by other RD Real-Debrid users, and you selected the same set of files, then it will be then it is cached, right? Like, I mean, like, it will be available to you instantly because it has been downloaded before. You don't when what it means to be cached is that, like, you don't have to wait for the torrent to go from 0 to 100. It just jumps straight to 100 for you, and like you can stream it, download it without any wait. And every file that you have downloaded in a torrent, they are stored separately in its own link. Actually, before I come to that, so for example, you're downloading a torrent and there's 100 files in there. If you downloaded 100 files, those, like, the all the files in there, it will only be cached for that specific file selection. So all the other users needs to download the same set of files, like those 100 files, and that's the only time that it will be instantly available for them. If they only select a subset of those, like for example just one file or like 50 files, then yeah, like they have to like redo the same download, even though half of those files are already available, right? So yeah, so just an important thing to remember, the caching mechanism of Real-Debrid depends on the file selection. And yeah, there are different variations basically, like Real-Debrid can cache different variations of selection for a single torrent. All right, moving on is like this last point, which is every file downloaded in a torrent is stored separately in its own link. So for example, these 100 files, they're all video files. In the end, you will get 100 Real-Debrid file locker links. Actually, that goes to my next point, um, where I think that Real-Debrid is a file locker, right? So when you download the torrent, you get a bunch of these links, right? So these realdebrid.com slash d slash like the file locker code. I'll call it like that. Um, and these is what I consider the file locker link of Real-Debrid, because this one points to a file. Like when you access this, I don't have an example right now because I have to pause the stream and like um, yeah do this 2FA thing. But the main idea is that this is a file locker link, right? So um, essentially this makes your torrents page just a personal collection of your Real-Debrid file locker links. So you get like 1,000 torrents in there, and every torrent probably has like 10 file locker links. And so in the end you get like 10,000 file locker links in your torrent library. But you have to remember that the links are not shareable. Like whatever you get on the torrents page, those links will only work for your account. And you can try that right now, right? Like if you have like multiple accounts, then those links, you'll see that they're not actually portable or shareable. But there is a way to make them shareable, and that is to reduce the code into just 13 characters. Okay. Let me pause the video feed first and see if I can like sort out this 2FA thing. Let me try turn off the video. Okay. I'll just go. Okay. Real-Debrid. Okay, cool. Now it's back on. Let me go back to the stream. Turning on the video again here. Okay, there. Okay. So I'm already logged in. This is the torrents page, right? So if I copy this, I go to the downloader, click on unrestrict, right? So I get this, and what I was saying earlier is to just make this 13 characters and it will actually make it portable. So it will still work even if you reduce the number of characters. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So I don't need these 3 extra characters. And see, it still works, right? It still points to the same file. If I reduce this furthermore, then I don't think, this doesn't work anymore. So you see my point, right? So if you remove the extra characters, it will be shareable. And some important notes and limitations on this feature. Unfortunately, there's a big downside of Real-Debrid. They don't seed. Right? So like BitTorrent as a protocol, it's supposed to be like a two-way street where you download files, and the files that you have downloaded, you can also like upload them to other users. Unfortunately, this Real-Debrid doesn't do this. There is an uploading status on the torrent, but I don't think that's for uploading a file. I think that this is only for uploading the file to their download servers. So if it's a torrent that is not cached before, it's a fresh torrent basically, and it just finished downloading, then it will go to this uploading status, and that is actually when Real-Debrid uploads them to their download servers. Alright, so there's also another very good feature of Real-Debrid that makes them really special, is that there is no known limitation on the quantity of torrents that it can save, it can hold into its torrent library, right? So I've seen other libraries out there with like 50,000 files, 50,000 torrents, not files. Um, but yeah, like there's no known limitation in here. I think as long as you don't abuse the number of torrents, it's gonna be fine for Real-Debrid. Um, Another limitation that I haven't personally reached is this 2 terabyte single torrent size limit. Um, I mean, this doesn't make sense for like a single video, like a movie, right? But for example, for season packs, yeah, this is super generous of them to like offer this quite absurd file size limitation. Um, there's also a 72-hour torrent download duration. I mean, this will only make sense if you're downloading a fresh torrent, like an uncached torrent, and they limit that to just 72 hours. I don't want to go over this because these are like basic details. Um, and here I talk about this again, like this downloader feature, right? Like this downloader page basically enables you to convert your file locker links into download links. And just a disclaimer here is that your IP address will be logged whenever you do this. Whenever you're it doesn't matter if you're using the API or you're using this page, your IP address will always be logged. Alright, so yeah, just a note. Okay, now into the downloads page. The downloads page, when you unrestrict a link, the download link goes into the downloads page. Like it is saved there. But unlike the torrents page, the downloads page is not permanent. And we don't actually know what the rules are on when does Real-Debrid deletes download links. But I think what's important to remember there is like downloads is just an ephemeral library. It's not permanently kept by Real-Debrid, so you have to assume that whatever is in there will be deleted in the future. In the future means, I don't know, like maybe next minute or next hour or next day. We don't know. And yeah, so in this downloads page, you will see a list of all the unrestricted links. These are the download links, what I call them. The IP address that unrestricted it, again, like they're logging this, as well as the original file locker link, right? So just to show that to you, if I unrestrict this and I go to my downloads, see I got a bunch, right? So I just unrestricted this, and yeah, you see my IP address there. Okay, so when the download link expires, the entry here is also removed. So yeah, that's another important point. So in a nutshell, right? So your torrents page lists your torrents or magnet hashes containing RD file locker links. So the data model here looks like you have a single torrent. It contains a single or multiple file locker links, and when you unrestrict those file locker links, it is converted into a download link, right? So the downloads page lists your download links that are converted from these file locker links. I hope that you get that analogy. So now let's talk about the torrents and magnet hashes. I'll try to be like faster because we have a lot of like material to cover, and I'm going at a very slow pace right now. So a magnet link looks like this. This is a 40 character SHA-1 hash. I mean, like these are all standard. Nothing really special about this. But this is just another form of a torrent file, right? Like for example, in Pirate Bay, they don't have any torrent files. They only do magnet hashes, um, because it's more storage efficient to store magnet hashes than torrent files. Um, but there's one limitation on a magnet link. When a magnet link uses custom trackers, like if you add a tracker, a specific like tracker link here, Real-Debrid won't read it, even if you specify it like this, right? So when you want to specify a custom tracker, you have to use a torrent file. That means that when you're using private tracker links or private tracker torrents, you have to use torrent files, because it won't work with just a magnet link unless the torrent is already instantly available, meaning it's already cached, right? So I think that's important to remember. Torrents and magnet hashes can be instantly available or not. They don't expire, but if they're not instantly available, then they need to have seeders, so Real-Debrid can download it. And instant availability is again like based on file selection. That's what I was talking about earlier. And what it means to be instantly available, it means that there are existing Real-Debrid file locker links for that specific torrent saved in Real-Debrid's database. The file locker links do expire, and if it's not like accessed frequently, right? So there's a condition there about this file locker link. Okay. So again, like talking about this expiry, right? So every hoster that Real-Debrid supports, they have different expiry policy, right? So for OneFish here, it's the same idea. Like if a file is not accessed frequently, then they will just archive the file. If you have a premium account on OneFish here, for example, they will move it to cold storage at a certain limit. But if you're just using a free account, they will delete the file. If you have like personal YouTube links, they don't expire, right? So as long as you have your YouTube links, then you can always unrestrict them on Real-Debrid. For Real-Debrid file locker links, though, we don't know what the rules are. This is a black box, and we can only assume that the caching status is affected by how many unique users access the link on a given period of time, right? So it needs to be unique users. I think they may be tracking this with IP, with the account itself. I don't know, but this is the idea, right? So it is not based on the magnet hash, because a torrent you just added to your library, right? Based on the magnet hash, can have a mix of both working and expired links. So don't trust the links that you receive from the API when you are adding a torrent. You have to really check them to verify if they're working or not, if the link is unrestrictable or not. This means that reinserting a torrent won't actually help on prolonging the cache status of a torrent. So a lot of people go to the Debrid Media Manager and use the reinsert function. So they go to like the uncached filter, and then they reinsert all the torrents in there. It doesn't actually I mean, like, not the uncached state, like the uncached filter, but they just like try to reinsert torrents there. It doesn't actually prolong the cache status. Like that's a big myth on Real-Debrid, right? So what what actually prolongs this, like I talk about this later, but as I put in here, this is based on how many unique users access a link on a given period of time. How I qualify accessing a link is downloading the unrestricted link, right? So you have to like read some bytes of that download link for it to be considered access. I mean, these are all just assumptions, but like these are the most sensible assumptions I could make based on the information that I have developing the Breed Media Manager and Zerk. But yeah, there's still a benefit for inserting, and that can refresh the old links and get a newer link. There's a condition there, right? Like if there's an available newer link for that torrent, then yeah, you can refresh your old links there. And if all the file locker links for that torrent expires, then the torrent is no longer instantly available, then it becomes uncached. This is quite common for movies, because movies, they only contain one link, right? So like it only takes one link to expire for that movie to be uncached. But for like season packs, like it's I mean, one or two files there might be expired already, but it's always, I mean, it takes like all the files for them to be I mean, it takes all the file locker links for that specific torrent to be uncached. Okay, now to a different topic. This is about I'm just tracking the time of how long I'm doing this, because yeah, okay, just jump on that one. Yeah, thank you. Really having trouble. Okay, yeah, I think we can chat about that on Discord, but yeah, what I'm gonna focus on right now is all about just Real-Debrid, right? Like all the mechanisms around this. Okay, so about download links. Download links, they're account specific, and if you share your download links to other users who have a different IP address than you, then you're gonna be banned. I think you get a warning at first. I'm not sure, but for sure at some point, like, you will be banned. Right? So don't ever make those download links public. And the way they do this is that they track all the connections on a specific download link. Right, so the screenshot that I put here, this is coming from the downloads page of Real-Debrid. And you can see that if I'm currently downloading that file, then it will have this indicator in here saying that yeah, the connection is active, and yeah, that means that somebody's like downloading that file, and they are for sure tracking the IP address of that connection. But yeah, it is okay to have multiple active connections as long as it's a single IP address, and there's no limit on this, right? So if you're on a single household and you have like 1,000 devices in there accessing different files, then it doesn't matter. Like, it's Real-Debrid allows this. The only limit though is like there's a maximum of 32 parallel connections to a single server. So you have to make sure that your clients, for example, like in Windows, there's an application called IDM, Internet Download Manager, and you can specify there how many segments you want a download to be, right? So by default it's 8, but you can set it to a higher number. I don't know why, but like 8 is already fine. But like some people on a multi-core machine, they prefer having it like a lot more parallel connections as well. And yeah, it can only support up to 32, and actually still like that's a lot of like connections for a stream. um I wouldn't probably do that, but like yeah, I just put a limit of 32 on Zurich, for example. um what you have to remember is that the download links do expire, and we don't know when or how it, I mean, what's the rule on the expiry for download links. But fortunately, that's not a big deal because you can refresh the download link as long as you have the file locker link. Actually, what I've noticed is that every 2 minutes, I think, you can refresh the download link. So like you can like keep on retrying to unrestrict the file, and every 2 minutes it will like give you a fresh download link um, for a given file locker link. All right, now I talk about the servers that powers Real-Debrid, like the whole service. So there are three type of servers that I talk about here: the API, the download servers, and the streaming servers. Um, yeah, so the API server, you can access the API server by these two um, host names, right? They do point to the same instance, and yeah, they're powered by the same server, so it doesn't matter whether you're accessing API or app. And these are all the functions that the API supports. So you have the user, unrestrict, traffic, streaming, downloads, torrents, hosts, settings, and support. And here I talk about like the undocumented API features, which is quite interesting. The first one is actually documented. I mean, I saw this in the documentation. I guess if you do pass both authorization and auth token though, then authorization will take precedence. Yep, just a note. Another thing that's not documented there is this unrestrict link endpoint. It does support passing an IP address, right? So earlier I talked about the downloader page tracking your IP address, right? So here, the IP address here, you can configure the IP address being tracked by using this IP parameter on the unrestrict link endpoint. So here, so it is not just link, not just password, not just remote. You can also pass IP. I saw this being used in torrential source code actually, and I copied that, and I copied that functionality into Debrid Media Manager, and that's why you're able to like watch links, watch download links in straight from Debrid Media Manager's website. The other thing is that this torrents endpoint, the response contains this header x total count. It gives you the number of items you have on your library, and I do use this for optimization for calls. I mean, I could basically identify the maximum amount of pages, the maximum number of pages that I need to fetch based on this number, and I can do these things in parallel. So I do this optimization both in Zurich and the Debrid Media Manager. Another thing, if a referrer contains localhost, even if it's just a substring, the API will respond with this header, this course header. So I did create a proof of concept here. You can see like I'm using localhost that debridmanager.com. I can log in with my Real-Debrid account. And if I show you the network requests, if I go to library, for example, you'll see, right? Like I'm connecting directly to the API. I'm not doing it via proxy, because the response do contain a course header, which simplifies it a lot for me. There's a catch though. You still cannot read the X total count header. For some reason, the access control allow headers doesn't contain anything about their custom headers. So I still have to use a proxy to read the total count header. Just some important notes here. Any request that you send to the API server doesn't really consume bandwidth, right? A lot of people, I saw a lot of like misconceptions there, that if you're sending a lot of requests to the API, then the faster your bandwidth will be consumed. That's not true. Yeah, like it's the API server is different from the download server. So yeah, just a note there. Do you have a Discord ring? Or is it only like yeah? There is a Discord. I'll probably share the link later. Or no, I can share the link right now. No, I'll do it later. Sorry. I'll lose focus if I switch windows. Okay, so some new limits that were imposed on the API. First is that you can only do 250 requests per minute. There's also a per second limitation. I think there's four requests per second based on my testing. But yeah, like the idea here is that if you're developing an application, make sure that there's a rate limiter set up in there. There's also this 1 request per second limitation for the torrents endpoint. So specific to that endpoint only, the torrents list endpoint. A note is that for some reason the API, when it encounters issues, you also get the same behavior in the website. Actually, no. Like during the recent downtime of Real-Debrid, the API was down. I mean, it was having issues, but it was working on the website. So I don't know why. But anyway, they are served by the same set of web servers, right? Like they're code named B1 to B6. And I found this out based on this excerpt by header. It was like load balance between these 6 servers. Another note is that some functions here, right, they do require a specific type of token, and others don't require a token at all. Yeah, I'll talk about like the different types of tokens as well. This is what I'm referring. So you have the private API token. This the token that you can find on this link. This can be refreshed, and there's only one token that can exist per account, right? So if you refresh it, then the old token will not work anymore. What's important to remember here is that this API token is the most powerful token. It can access anything on your account. Actually, the only difference is that you won't be able to access the streaming endpoint um, with the other token. Here you can access basically everything. I think that's the only difference. I didn't really check this that much. You also have this OAuth2 generated token, right? So OAuth2 is how you log in into to Real-Debrid. I think you guys saw that earlier. Um, in Debrid Media Manager, if I log in here, right? So that's what you call the OAuth2 flow, and you can see under my devices, right? That yeah, like when I unauthorize this, I can also get logged out from the Brit Media Manager. So yeah, this basically means that you're deleting the refresh, or you're invalidating the refresh token of the Brit Media Manager. The refresh token is what you need to generate an access token that you can use for the API interactions. But if you delete this, then you're deleting the refresh token and all the access tokens that were generated from that refresh token as well. So yeah, just cool info. And there's also a website token. So in Real-Debrid website, there's a different token that's being used here. Different from these two other tokens. Alright, so download service. I have 10 minutes left, so I'll try to be fast. There are 3 types of download servers. There's CDN server, which looks like this. EU servers. I'm not sure if all of these are located in an EU data center. But yeah, the main difference is that like you'll see that it ends with a .com and the first 2 characters are numbers. And there's also Cloudflare servers where the host name ends with a .cloud. Right, so all have IPv4 and IPv6 except the CDN servers in Mumbai and the one in France. They're all IPv4 only. I think this an OVH data center limitation. About download servers, right? So any request to the download server, any GET request, they will consume bandwidth, right? So the bandwidth, you're limited to just 2 terabytes per day. And it resets every 12 a.m. midnight on Central Europe time. All the download links are public, but they're being tracked. The IP address is being tracked. You don't actually need any tokens to download something off a download server of Real-Debrid. But since the download links are account specific, they will know who generated this particular download link, and they will be able to map this, right? Like, is this your account who's downloading this or something else? So that's what's important. If you're using a data center IP, then you get a lower bandwidth limit. I think it's 400 gigabytes based on a previous user. A user reported this previously. Some others are reporting 500 gigabytes. I think it's kind of like a pooled limitation for all the data center IPs. So that's probably why it's varying day per day. But yeah, like there's also this remote traffic product of Real-Debrid, right? Like, but the thing is, if it's working even if you don't have remote traffic, then that means they're just like giving this away for free, which is again like very generous for Real-Debrid. Huh, yeah. And yeah, another thing here is like the bandwidth limitation is account based, right? So if you reach the data center bandwidth limit, even if you switch to another data center, it doesn't. I mean, you're still gonna get limited. You have to switch to a residential IP for you to continue downloading, or use another token. I mean, use another token to unrestrict and then like refresh the download link essentially. So these are the list of all the countries where a CDN of Real-Debrid is located, right? So just check that. There are also streaming servers. So I didn't really put much attention here because I feel like it's really lacking in terms of features, because the transcodes are generated on demand anyway. So it's not like Plex versions where they generate a version of the file, they transcode the whole file and then save the file. For this streaming servers, they generate it on demand, meaning they will only generate a segment of a video, and then you have to keep pinging the streaming server in order to generate the other segments of the video, right? So I don't really put too much attention here, but like these are the details if you're interested about this. I've also scraped the whole support page of Real-Debrid. Like if you're interested on looking into this, these are all the questions there. It contains images as well, instructions on integrating with Kodi. I'm getting this like these are like recently added support questions from Real-Debrid, like fair usage, infringing torrent. It is saying I'm using Cloudflare, Warp, not Wrap but Warp. My app IP address is blocked. Yeah, so there. Here I talk about what I think is the best price tier is. So I think that this is the 90-day period because I feel there's too much risk in buying this 180-day limit. So better to just buy the 90-day limit, and in the end you're actually paying Real-Debrid more money, right? So win-win for us and them. And yeah, there's also like extra points, by the way, that you can exchange for extra subscription days. So you need to have at least 1,000 points, and then you can exchange 1,000 points for 30 days. So essentially, you're actually getting extra days for each subscription tier, right? For if you buy the 90-day period, you're actually getting 103 days in total. And yeah, you're paying 8 cents a day. That's like peanuts. Like really, like it's absurd how the economics work for Real-Debrid. I don't know. I don't fully know how all these things work. There's also a 360 days plan available if you go to a reseller. But yeah, nothing that supports credit card. Only Real-Debrid's website supports credit card. The others, like, you have to use a different payment gateway. It's quite stupid, but I don't know. Yeah, I'm 650 days because, like, yeah, thanks to like Debrid Media Manager users, like they're using my referral link. That's why. Extras. Yeah, all these companies. I was just doing some investigation on like when these companies actually started, and they all were registered in 2009, right? So like Real-Debrid, All-Debrid, Premiumize, I think. Yeah, like Off Cloud, Put.io, all were registered during 2009. I don't know what happened during 2009, but like yeah, and most of them were hosted on an OVH data center in France. Actually, Debrid is like a French word. I think the right pronunciation for it is like Debrid. I don't know. I'm not French, so like I don't fully know, but like yeah, like the first domain for Real-Debrid was this .fr website. It still works today. Um, and then later on that year, they registered realdebrid.com. Okay, and then my last point is actually about like this reinsertion, right? Like if it's not reinserting that torrents that prolong the cache status, then what is it? So I think again, like I'm just reiterating the previous point that I had. The more people who share the same files as you do, the longer it stays on your on Real-Debrid servers, right? So that's the idea behind the hash list feature of DMM. It's a one-click solution to share your torrent library to other users. Um, so it benefits everyone, like also you, right? Because that means that if other users use the same files as you do, then it's gonna get cache longer, and that's also the same idea behind this dump feature of Zerg on the new version, where the dump folder actually just contains a bunch of local files containing the Real-Debrid file locker links. It doesn't contain anything, right? Like besides the file locker links, you can share these files to other users like through a thumb drive or I don't know, like you copy those, you send those files over email or something, and they can instantly have all your files in their library without feeding it into Real-Debrid. They don't have to do any API calls at all to have those files, that the same files that you do, right? So yeah, I think this is all the information. I'm gonna stop there, and yeah.